Hey everyone, it's Lauren. I am in my bedroom right now um, because it is extremely fucking hot outside in Denver right now. Um, and we've got all the fans on in the living room and stuff, and even still, I cannot get rid of the air conditioning sound. Um, so I just wanted to talk about something that happened to me yesterday, which has been kind of up and coming, and I'm recording this from my iPad while sitting on my bed with said iPad, so um, ignore the shaking, I'm sorry. So there's this thing that happened yesterday, which I, as a kid, or well, not as a kid, but as a teenager, I always worried would happen. So I worried that this would happen, but I also had high hopes that it would never happen to me. So basically, that thing is that I cannot afford my medical expenses. Prescriptions aren't necessarily an issue because my insurance does cover most of my prescriptions. However, it's the doctor's appointments, like copays and shit. We had a health services account, which is basically like this prepaid credit card that you do for at the beginning of the year, which has like a prepaid amount of money on it. And it's tax deductible. That's like the only reason that it means anything, basically. But for my mom and I get a lot of health issues from my mom. For my mom and I, these cards were always really nice because it's kind of like having our expenses for doctor's appointments and all that shit set aside, just on the preloaded card, essentially. Now, I come from a middle class background, and at the time that I moved to the place that I grew up in, I am certain that my dad was probably making more money than most of the other people in town, because the town that I grew up in was pretty low income at first, though the city of Dallas has grown around that town now at this point. It's crazy. But there's a big deal about it being made, and has been being made for over 5 years now, at least in the mainstream, I guess, about how the minimum wage in this country is too low, and how people cannot afford medical expenses because of the fact that there is no sort of socialized or public or subsidized even healthcare in the United States. And I have always supported scrapping the private healthcare system because I knew it was garbage before I was even done with high school, just from my interactions with people from all over the world. I spent a lot of time at home. I guess I was able to learn a lot about how things work outside of America, which does not happen to people that are raised in small towns in the United States. Generally do not have any sort of knowledge on what is going on elsewhere in the world, outside of America, and sometimes even out of their state, really. But I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to talk about this. It's such a fucking weird thing. It's the situation with like dealing with chronic illness in the United States as an individual is really fucking dystopian, honestly. There's a lot of things dystopian about the United States right now, but healthcare and wages are probably one of them. So about wages, because I do not have a college degree, and neither does my wife, but I want to, she'll have one in about a year, but a little less than that. However, before you even take into account the college degree situation, my wife makes more money than a lot of people that have college degrees do. It's, you know, the job market is normally competitive for people that already have degrees. She's like in the tech IT type field, and she makes like over $25 an hour. Now, there is of course debt in the picture, and I knew that silently, you know, whenever I married her, and there's no regrets, and I don't have any issue with that, because most people, I do not know anyone my age that is not drowning in debt right now, who does not come from a rich or privileged or whatever background, you know. My dad is the only person in my entire family like that, you know, including extended family is what I'm kind of saying, that has any college degree, aside from my uncle who lives down in Mexico City and has been in Mexico for over 40 years. I don't have any, you know, rich grandparents or anything to subsidize my health problems or whatever. So I see a lot of specialists. I have mental issues. However, those are not the worst things. I have epilepsy, which I cannot go unmedicated on, and even though I am in Colorado, my epilepsy medication cannot be supplemented with marijuana. All right. And generally with most of my doctors, I have to go see them every 3 months, and beyond that, they usually will not send out medication refills going out farther than 6 months. So at most I can usually go 6 months without seeing my respective doctors. And my epilepsy is under control and everything, but the fact that I have to go to the doctor to continue getting my medication feels kind of rigged, because it costs like $50 for me to see a specialist in most cases. If they happen to be in network with my wife's company that she works for, then my copays are only $35 to see a doctor, which is still ridiculous. So I see a neurologist, I see a psychiatrist, I see a pain specialist doctor because I have fibromyalgia, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I suffer from neuropathy in my hands and legs. And then a rheumatologist. So there's at least 4 doctors that are sucking, anywhere from 35 to $50 out of me on at least or at most a 3-month recurring basis. A lot of times I do need to see those doctors more often than that. So most times I need to see at least a few of those doctors more frequently than 3 months. Some of the medication that isn't covered by my insurance is pretty expensive, or not fully paid for by my wife's company, because it's not really the insurance that actually covers it, it's her work. It's very frustrating. And actually, I recently kicked using opiates after like almost 8 years for my pain. And that is a result of moving to Colorado. Was only able to happen from moving to Colorado. Prior to moving here, I was spending $50 a month going to get my oxycodone refilled, essentially. So for a decent while now, and I noticed this before moving to Colorado, so it's not like I can just look back and say that moving here was a mistake, because my wife got a fucking huge raise. Rent has been going up like crazy, even in Dallas. Texas isn't really as affordable as it used to be, because of the Silicon Valley workers flocking to Austin. Dallas is blowing up as a big IT place. And people are attracted there because of the 0% state income tax. However, they make up for that in property taxes and other utility taxes. And mostly it's been the homeowners that have been noticing that for the most part. Recently, renters have been noticing it alongside just the general rising cost of rent in the United States. So I am disabled because of the chronic pain issues, as well as having horrible sleeping issues, which I have never been able to find a fix for. It's something that I hope to be able to find a fix for one day, because it drives me nuts. I'm like sitting here like trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do for work as a disabled person, because I had to turn down a job a couple months ago because I cannot stand for extended periods of time. So that rules out like tons of jobs that I could be working, that I know how to work, but my body has just been in pain wise and neuropathy wise. That stuff's been getting worse over the course of the past 8 years, I think. It's when I was 16, roughly. I'm already like not going to college because of how expensive it is to be alive right now. And I will be able to hopefully in a few years, once my wife is out of college and has a job, is it is something that I want to do pretty badly. I just can't do it, and student loans are fucking atrocious. It took my dad my dad went to school full time for an associate's degree. Like, it's been well over 15 years ago at this point, and they only paid off his student loans I think like 2 or 3 years ago, if even that. And it will be even more rough for my wife to pay off her student loans because the interest rates and expenses are even higher now than they were when my dad started school. It's ridiculous. So college isn't an option right now. I'm gotta figure out something work related to do. Music isn't something that I can just pull out of my ass, really. So yeah, this is just basically venting video. I'm not asking for money or anything, because the thing is that I'm not really going through a very unique experience. I know tons of other disabled people that are in the exact same predicament and have been for a while. However, I'm bothered by it because oh Jesus, man. I'm bothered by it because I hoped, as everyone does, and thought that it would probably never happen to me. And it just really sucks. So yeah. And if anyone is wondering where the live streams have been, I have been very, very depressed lately. Not because of the current financial situation, but I mean, I guess it's a reason now, but just bipolar ish, mood swings. Basically, I'm going through a pretty depressive period right now, and I'm waiting to see a psychiatrist, which is another doctor that I cannot afford to stop seeing, because I'm barely. Come on, man. I'm barely functioning mentally as is. I'm basically reliant on pills to keep my brain functioning normally, be it mentally or to prevent it from causing me to have seizures. People have told me to go out and get fresh air and stuff, lose weight, whatever. And the thing is that I've actually lost 30 pounds in the past 4 or 5 months. And since moving to Colorado, I have been exercising more than ever, just naturally because of the higher altitude and there's more stuff to do outside here, even in the city. So I have to deal with people trying to erase the seriousness of mental health problems, which is really fucking annoying. But that's another thing. So this is basically the sad leftist version of a redneck guy venting in his truck. This is sad leftist city living person take on that. So yeah, I will see you guys soon, hopefully. I have stuff planned, I just haven't gotten around to recording it. Thank you, bye bye.